I'm the Master, but probably not the one you were expecting. Today we continue our journey of figuring out just how many regenerations the Master has had, so stick around because all that and more is coming up today in part 3.
The best box set that you can buy for Doctor Who.
So you might be a Doctor Who fan if your laundry looks like this. Just a bunch of Doctor Who t-shirts. This one just says B Zygons now. I love that. But yeah, this is reminding me, I should probably change into a Doctor Who t-shirt because we got a video to do. You know what? I kind of like the one I'm wearing better. Problem solved. Let's get into the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the Doctor Who Guide, helping you grow your knowledge, collection, and connection with other Doctor Who fans. If you're new here and that sounds like something you want to do, then definitely hit that subscribe button and notification bell to do just that, because we've got new videos coming out every single Saturday. Welcome to part 3 of Doctor Who the Master, Every Regeneration Explained. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2, they are linked up in a playlist up above. You can get all caught up. Big shout out and thank you to Rob from the YouTube channel iSword99 who suggested this video and did some initial research to get it started. Also big shout out and thank you to TARDIS.wiki.com who wrote an amazing article about the Master, and without whom this video would not have been possible, because I will be quoting them and summarizing them a lot in this video, so thank you so much. Also big spoiler warning to those of you out there, if you haven't read and watched and listened to everything you want to about the Master, then definitely don't watch this video. Let's get into it, because we're currently on the 15th incarnation of the Master with 0 regenerations left. Woo! So what happens to the Master next is very ambiguous, and frustratingly so, because it contains some of the biggest moments of the Master's life. We see in the audio Eyes of the Master that he is plucked from a predicament, and I quote from the TARDIS Wikia, "The Master was resurrected by Coordinator Narvin in the audios The Death of Hope and The Devil You Know." Now the term resurrected to me seems to imply that this predicament that the Master was plucked from must have been his death, his final death. Whether or not you believe that he actually died then, what happens to him next is still incredible. The Time Lords give him a new regeneration cycle. That's at least what I posit for 2 main reasons. The first is a book called The Missy Chronicles. It's a collection of short stories, and it tells us how many regenerations Missy has had. In the short story Girl Power from the Missy Chronicles, Missy says she was born, died, took over some bloke's body, died, became a human, stopped being a human, died, and became a woman. Now, can we take this quote as canon? Well, it seems like the TARDIS Wikia is taking it as canon, and I'm trying to fit as many sources as possible into this canon timeline, so I can actually make this whole Missy being the 19th incarnation and having 18 regenerations prior, I can make that work. The words "took over some bloke's body" clearly refer to Anthony Ainley. The only thing I can't make work is the fact that Missy says the word "died" 13 times before becoming the Anthony Ainley Master, which makes no sense. Time Lords can, in their regeneration cycle, can regenerate 12 times, having 13 bodies. They can't regenerate 13 times. And it goes against all of the other canon of the Master only dying 12 times and then having that 13th body and trying to survive and body jumping. And in the moment we try and say, well, that one word of died doesn't actually mean a regeneration, is where this whole passage's canonicity falls apart. Because either died always means a regeneration, or we're talking about died as a body and came back in body jumping, and this whole passage just becomes useless. But I cannot make that 13th died before Anthony Ainley work, so I'm choosing to ignore it. Hey guys, it's future me from the editing booth. Look what I can do. Anyway, I misspoke there. I'm not choosing to ignore that regeneration. I'm just choosing to place it later than the Anthony Ainley Master, which is not what the Girl Power book does. Bye! Okay, that's my rant over. But the second reason that I think the Master has a new regeneration cycle at this point is because the TARDIS Wikia agrees with me, or rather, I agree with the TARDIS Wikia. TARDIS Wikia places the Master getting a new regeneration cycle at this same point, but they credit as sources the TV episodes Utopia and The Doctor Falls. Now, I went to Chakotaya.net, which is a site that transcribes all of the Doctor Who episodes, and I searched for the word regeneration. I went to those parts of the episodes and watched them, and neither of them actually canonically state that the Master got a new regeneration cycle. They don't confirm that. So even though the sources don't work, I do think it works narratively, because everything we've seen with the Master up until this point has been based around him not having enough regenerations, being out of them, and trying to survive after this point in what's to come is less focused on the Master getting the next body and more on just creating, chaos in the universe. We interrupt the scheduled programming in a truly masterful fashion to laugh at Alex messing up in the following 20 seconds of bloopers. Enjoy. I know I will. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell to do just that. Thank you to Rob from Fleming. They were harder and just a big shout out. And thank you to Rob from Ice Lord 99. Rob from the channel. Ice Lord 9 Project 99. Well, I certainly feel better after that. The next time you feel bad about your life, just remember that you are not failing to juggle action figures. We'll now resume our programming. Okay, so we're now on the 15th incarnation of the Master. He now has 11 new regenerations left because they presumably used one of those regenerations to resurrect him and change his body from whatever he had last body jumped into this new Master. That's what I'm extrapolating from it. He's now played by Alex MacQueen in the audios, and he essentially becomes the Lex Luthor of the Doctor Who universe. You may be wondering, why would the Time Lords give the Master a new regeneration cycle and 11 more regenerations at this point? That was because Coordinator Narvin was hoping that the Master would fight the Daleks in a potential war. I think this is the Time War, and the TARDIS Wiki says that it was due to the belief that he would be the perfect warrior. The Master was instructed basically to use a weapon called the Eminence to fight the Daleks, and the Celestial Intervention Agency, the CIA, gives the Master all the information he needs to know, and those events happened in the audio master plan. There are loads of crazy things that happen between the Doctor, the CIA, the Master, and the Eminence. Long story short, ends up with the Master escaping and the CIA erasing his works from history. All of them, some of them, who knows. The Master ends up infiltrating units, pretending to be the Doctor, which is hilarious. After that, in the audio And You Will Obey Me, he cuts a deal with the Cult of the Heretic, and spoiler warning, the cult manipulate him into burning his future self. That's how the Jeffrey Beavers Master goes from looking like Jeffrey Beavers to being burnt, which is insane. The cult then swap his brain with his past body, which creates a paradox that threatens to destroy the universe. So we now have past brain and future body and future brain and past body, which is, I'll admit, very confusing and paradoxical. Then, and I quote, the transhuman sisters of the Unholy Protocol and the Dragon Hunters are hired to kill the Master. They're hired to kill the older Master, therefore making the paradox permanent because you can't get the brains back to where they're supposed to be. But the Master was able to drive off the assassins with the aid of the Fifth Doctor, so that's great. But there are still the wrong Master's brain and the wrong Master's body, so the Seventh Doctor sorts it all out in the audio, the two Masters. Now we're on to the exciting part, the Time War. Okay, so not much is known of the Master's involvement in the Time War because he was able to write out a lot of his acts. But thanks to comics and audios, we are learning more and more about his time in the Time War. And I quote from the TARDIS Wikia, he fought in the battle over Ketal and helped the Time Lords make one of their first victories. That's from the audio, The Heavenly Paradigm. And he was also present at the Siege of the Chronotide. Found himself screaming for the General's mercy when the multiform closed in. That's insane. That's from the Prose Lords and Masters. So also some books have helped us learn more of his time here. And it is at this point that the poor Alex MacQueen Master loses his TARDIS and regenerates into his 16th form, which is perhaps the most surprising. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching part 3. If you want to watch part 4, it's either linked up in the card up above or on the screen somewhere here, or it is coming out very, very soon. Comment down below with your favorite audios and stories with the Master and how many regenerations you think he has total. Also, if you have any ideas for celebrating 1,000 subscribers, then definitely comment those down below as well. Bye!